expose of the same old story that I heard yesterday. Yeah, it goes the headlines, man. They all just go to plan. They're framed and fixed and rigged. You know they're all just spam. So buckle down, plug right in. It crawls its way under your skin. Just got by on the things they spy. And you should give me that good news. Because I'm tired of the same old shit. That good news. Because I'm tired of the same old shit.
Should there now if I unmute my microphone and most people can hear what I'm saying, which is good. But Scott's out, not feeling well, got one of the bugs. If you're in California, it's now called the tridemic. Interesting. Anyway, today's show brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Cannabis. If you want to check out any CBD for healthy things, run over to Cannabis right here in McHenry, and he'll take care of you, which is great. Now, don't forget that this is the most unique show that is out on the intranet right now. And if you take a look, good old Uncle Pete should be putting it out there. There. So right out there. So if you take that and you copy it, put it into your URL, of course, you can be part of this show. Just make sure that you have some sort of interweb connection, and there we go, and we should be good. Now, today, I guess everybody wins, right? So, what is the hot topic right now? Has nothing to do with politics, I'm sure. Has everything to do with just being good humans. Our good friend Brittany Griner has been detained over in Russia for the past 9 months or so, I think, for breaking the law over there, and she is now home because we swapped prisoners. And hey, it was a 1-for-1. So it's really kind of like it's really kind of like, how do I want to put this? Trading baseball cards. Well, maybe WNBA basketball cards, because we did trade a prisoner that we had here in the Americas to Russia, which is wonderful. So congratulations, very, very, very good. And it was 1-for-1, so with no future trades. So I guess everyone wins. Shayna, good morning, says get well, Scott. I'm sure he's listening in. Hopefully he if he hears, he can text in and things like that. Now, we here in at 216 at DDOA Enterprises, we have to say that we don't talk politics, we don't talk news, but we do like current events, and this is a good current event. And if you want to be part of anything we do here at DDOE, just let us know. Send us an email. You can go to 216 at gmail.com, and they can send that. We'll get it, but it's good stuff. And we like to be thought provokers, or we like to poke the bear a little bit. We like to get people thinking a little bit outside. And the question that I'm going to pose this morning is, when did the shift in the world happen where we want to protect our feelings more than we want to protect our safety and security, I guess. Yes, current event of world theater or telenovela. Yeah. So that's the question: is can somebody help me? Anyone help me? Put a timeline on when we went from uh, freedom and security and protection to none of that really matters. I'm worried more about your feelings because somewhere it did. Somewhere along the line, it went totally. I mean, I think Bugs Bunny said it best, right? I should have took a ride at Albuquerque or whatever. And we are just. I mean, everybody's got to win. Everybody's got to feel as if they won. Um, and we're not satisfied if somebody. Well, let me put it this way: if you're my age, if you're in your 50s or better, every I want to say every Saturday, right? The Wide World of Sports came on, and it was the agony of defeat. Somewhere along the line, we decided as a country that no one should ever feel the agony of defeat ever again. And so we don't we don't feel the agony of defeat. We don't feel we're afraid to learn the lessons that defeat gives us, and because of that, we cow. Am I saying it right? We kowtow to those because we want to. Anyway, um, I always tell. I do a lot of coaching. I always tell my kids. I tell the people who work for me, if we fail, get excited because that means we're learning something and we're getting better. If we never fail, then what is there to learn? What is there to learn? And so when you fail and fall down and you get scratches, and I mean the human body is built to uh, heal itself, but yet we forget that sometimes. Um, I do have to rewind a little bit because I did say that y'all had some homework. I went through the whole week. We were talking about energy last week. I went through the whole week asking everybody I knew, "Hey, how's your energy?" And it was great. The responses I got, the way their body shifted, everything was really cool. Only a couple of people said, "Oh gosh, I don't have any." Right. But when I asked that, they kind of looked at me and then they adjusted, like, "Hey, man, my energy is really, really good." And then I would just say, "You know what, mine too." Share that energy around. So if you went around, I'd love to hear any stories that you had on asking people about their energy, but it was great. I was at Reese's Barkery and Pautique. They had a ribbon cutting yesterday, and I asked some people about their energy. Got to meet our good friend Robert. Appreciate meeting you. I could sit and talk to that guy for hours and hours and hours. Just a fantastic guy, which is fantastic. So um, I'll ask you all, how's your energy? Hopefully your energy is great this morning. Mine is elevated. I'm excited about today, about the things going on. I had a great spent some time with our good friends over at the Sandler Partners. We're going to be hearing a lot more from the Sandler Partners here at DDOE, and just met a bunch of great individuals that just energized me. And I got up this morning like I'm ready to go. So I just wanted to cover our homework. So I'd love to hear those stories. Shayna says, I want to know when we move from compassion for the mentally challenged to full participation in it. Um, Whoa, that's a good question. So when did we move from compassion for the mentally challenged to full participation in it? That might have been No Child Left Behind. So that would probably be Bush one, and probably back then in the mid '90s, and mid to late '90s, early 2000s, and that's when we decided that we can't discriminate because of that, which is good. Um, Don says, I think that relatively, we have so much in the U.S. that some people started creating problems to fix. When most or all of our basic needs are met, people search for a problem to solve. or they create problems, right? So a good engineer will always, they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But an engineer will say, no, break it so we can make it better. Um, and yeah, we started giving out trophies for participation, lowering standards. Absolutely. Um, we we started to we made a shift to worry about people's feelings. Um, Everybody makes the team. No one gets cut. Um, Thanks, and that does, and I'm not, yeah, it's to make people feel better. Absolutely, everybody wants to be included. Nobody wants to be um, excluded, and I get that. What we don't do a good job of is trying to help people understand. Hey, you can be part of the team. You may not wear a jersey, but we need this, and you're good at that, right? Um, and then we've also forgot to say, I know you want to be part of the team, and the part you can be is a fan because you're no good, right? You have different talents, you have different abilities. This may not be the team for you. Shayna says, no, back in the day, you would feel bad for someone walking around insisting they are Batman. Now we say, good morning, Batman. How does this help? So, well, now, and I found out yesterday, talking with some folks at work in the office, was that now there's furries or something. So children are able to say, I am a cat or I am a dog, and they're allowed to go around barking and growling or meowing or standing in lunch line, licking themselves to clean themselves because they would like to pretend that they are a cat or a dog. And a lot of school systems, a lot of places are allowing that to happen because they're going under the guise of um, I want to respect you. Okay. I've got a 13-year-old daughter. She goes to middle school. And we've talked about this. And she says, Dad, it's about respecting that individual. I said, oh, let's talk about that. Define, give me a definition of respect. Okay. Now, you can respect somebody and love them and say, you're crazy as a $3 bill. Still love you, still respect you, but you crazy. Okay. Um, I don't have to go into your world to pretend. And I've used that, Shayna. I actually talked to my daughter and I said, okay, let's say that I'm at your school and I'm walking around in an astronaut outfit. I've got a helmet on and an astronaut outfit. And I want you to say that I'm an astronaut. I'm pretending to be an astronaut. Would you say, oh, if a new person comes in and goes, what's up with that guy? Would you say, oh, that's astronaut? Or would you say, oh, Kent thinks that he's an astronaut. He likes to pretend that he's an astronaut. Because I'd probably say you'd like to pretend that you're an astronaut. I said, okay. That's okay. Let them pretend, let them have fun, love them while they're pretending to be an astronaut. Do you understand what I'm saying? She kind of looks at me. I said, so let's say I'm pretending that I want to be a girl and I start to wear girls' clothes, makeup. Hey, I've got earrings, right? So what would you, well, I would ask what your pronoun is then. I said, why? What's different? What's different if I want to pretend to be a girl or an astronaut? What does that matter? I go, well, what happens in 2 years when I'm done pretending to be a girl and I want to be a boy again? Oh, well, then you'll be a boy. I said, so do you see the issues here? I said, we can't continue to go into the land of make believe with Mr. Rogers thinking that and pretending. I don't have to play your game. I can love you. I can respect you. I can do anything that I want because I'm me. But my person is, I'm going to meet you where you're at. I if you know a person like I know Don, I don't say he. If I'm referring to Don, I'll usually call Don by his name. Scott by his name or a nickname or whatever the case may be. So the pronoun isn't really that 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 big of a deal, because if I know you, I'm going to use your name. And so to me, you refer to that person as that person. And but I don't have to go into your land of make believe. I just don't. And we've gotten to a point now, again in America, where we've got to jump into everybody's land of make believe to make to make I don't know what. I mean, I'm very confused with it. I don't get it. So if we're playing a game, I don't really know the rules, and I'm like, right. Yeah, Shayna says, I tap out when reality requires me to modify my own reality. We used to call it patronizing to go along with the pretend. Yeah, yeah. Oh, just let little Billy think that he's an astronaut. It's okay. Uh, but I'm gonna call him Billy, and I'll be like, "Hey, Billy's pretending to be an astronaut. He wants to be an astronaut, right?" I mean, we would play cops and robbers, and when I was younger, and I would pretend to be the cop or the robber for that for that brief game, that brief moment. Um, we would play the Dukes of Hazard. I'd pretend to be Bo or Luke or Cooter or whoever, right? When we were on our bikes doing things, Smokey and the Bandit. There were, we pretended to be those people because we idolized them and said, "Oh, this is really really cool." Okay, um, there is nothing wrong with pretending and playing games, and that's good for your psyche. I think it's good for your soul. It's an escape. Um, but if we're going to, you know, I can't force everybody to go into somebody else's pretend world, land of make believe, and I won't. I won't. I love you as a person. And I'll talk to you, and I'm not going to talk about what you pretend to be or what you don't pretend to be. I'm not even going to ask the question on why you pretend to be. Okay, I'm not none of my business. But if you're a good person and you're cool, I could care less if you're an astronaut. I could care less if you're, a Martian. Whatever you want to pretend to be, that's okay. And a lot of times here on Fridays, I pretend to be a radio guy, right? And y'all play along, so thanks, I appreciate it. And we have to be able to just go, huh? Well, that's interesting, right? We have to be able to be uncomfortable around people, and people have to know that perhaps you make us uncomfortable. All right. Um, I don't know. I might have shared this on bridging civil tension last week. Um, I've got a friend who's in Rock County prison, jail, whatever you want to call it. They say jail if you want to make it feel less yucky, right? But prison. And I was in a very safe spot as I dropped, went to the prison. Hey, good morning, Jen. How are you? And um, some inmates walked by. I don't know who they are. I don't even know why they're in there. Maybe they're in there because they have unpaid parking tickets. And they're just good people. They walked by in their jumpsuits and their Crocs and whatnot. But even though I was separated, there's no way they were getting me. There wasn't. Boy, my anxiety went, whoa, those are bad people. And I got nervous. And I had to sit back and think of like, why am I nervous? I'm safe out here. They're not. I don't know why they're even in there. But it's okay to let people know that I'm uncomfortable around you. I don't want to do that, right? There was a lot of after school specials growing up that taught us how to say, I don't think you should. I'm not going to be part of it. Where did those after school specials go? Right? So I think that, you know, my wife spends a lot of time working with autistic kids, and she grabs great energy from that, and she's wonderful with them, and that is her zone, right? Now, until I get to know that person, I'm probably pretty uncomfortable because it's something I'm not educated on, haven't been around a lot, whatever the case may be. But once I get to know those children, then I start to understand, and I'm more comfortable. Now they're beautiful people again, so I can love them. But it's okay to be uncomfortable around people. I mean, it just is. But I can't go in and pretend that everything is right in the world, right? You know, uh, and I can't go to your land of make believe. I just can't. Shana says, we call it flying our freak flag at my house. Autism presents many opportunities to decide culturally acceptable behaviors. Respect for the culture is the same mechanism that should keep horribly behaved kids at fine restaurants. Right? Um, yeah, it and there are horribly behaved kids that don't have autism, right? And the idea is everyone doesn't win. Everyone can't win. And everyone of you that listen here runs a different race than I run on a daily basis. Don says, in my opinion, too many people decided disagreement equals hate. We must be able to disagree and love one another, or society will just continue to tumble. Yeah, now I have said this. One of my pet peeves and one of my triggers. There's a good word. One of my triggers is, I guess we'll agree to. No, I'm not agreeing to disagree. We disagree. That's it. We I'll disagree with it. Doesn't mean I hate you. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to work with you. Doesn't mean anything. Just means we disagree. I'm not agreeing to disagree because I would really like to not disagree. I'd like you to see it my way. This is one of the bumper stickers I absolutely hate. But yes, what we've done is we've taken away the ability to critically think for ourselves, to be able to listen and have a debate, to be able to listen and have a conversation. But because I disagree doesn't mean that I hate you. Probably means that I like you even more for your thought, right? Robert, good morning. Glad to have you with us, brother. Great meeting you yesterday. I just absolutely loved it. I could have sat and talked to you all day. Shana, in an effort to respond to your inquiry as a child back in the early 40s, mentally challenged individuals were basically ignored by society and put away or isolated so as not to be seen or involved by the rest of the world. Technical references to mental health as a field or discipline are not found before 1946. Extremely unfortunate and honestly stupid. Hiding any issue does not make it go away or eliminate it. Advances in our medical fields and awareness of potentials, and he ran out of characters there. And Shana says, exactly, Don. Disagreeing should not equate to demonizing the other. Absolutely. But we're fast to that. And why? That's easier for us. Again, everybody's got to win. Everybody's got to win. And if I hate you, right? If I hate you, then I don't have to try to see things from your side. I don't have to go home and research or think critically or ask a different question to try to understand. I don't, right? Because I hate you. I don't have to deal with it. Jen says, I highly recommend the movie The Reason I Jump. Get inside the head of a nonverbal autistic person. Very eye-opening. I will have to watch that. I think that would be cool. And again, folks, we are not trying to pick on anybody who is mentally disabled, mentally challenged. Lord knows I'm mentally challenged. But what we're saying is, at some point, we fell off the wagon of recognizing each other's differences, strengths, weaknesses, passions, because they were different, and we want you to feel good instead of trying to find a place for you, right? Or a place for me. So here, let's talk about this. There are now adult coloring books. And they're cool, right? And it's to just get rid of some energy. But um, there's a lot that are color by number, right? So it's a ends up looking like a stained glass of a peacock, let's say. Now, what this does, it's great. And there's a lot of adults who do this. What it does, though, when you paint by number, is I'm going to tell you what this is going to look like. We've taken away the creativity for people. All right. Understand what I'm saying is if red is if number one is pink, then I'm putting pink everywhere it should be. So I'm saying here, waste your time. I don't want you to think or be creative. I don't want you to think on your own, but here, go along with what I say that this should look like. We don't have green snowmen anymore. We don't have purple skies and yellow grass. We don't have that because we've taken away the ability to be creative and do things, right? And we say, this is what it should look like. Everyone wins. Where's that individualism? Where's that, that, and I'll get a lot of people who will say, yeah, but if I think that I'm a cat, you're not allowing my creativity. No, I'll allow that all day. I don't have to agree with you because I know what a cat is. And you certainly, sir, are not a cat, right? Um, I've never had a verbal conversation with a cat, a feline. Okay. So, yeah, it's okay to say you're different. It's okay to point out differences. It's even okay to call them out. It's not okay to make fun of them. It's not okay to ridicule them. It's not okay to treat them any less of a human being. That's not okay. But we all don't have to win. We all don't have to be in your land of make believe, as Mr. Rogers would say. Shayna says, don't you feel there is some kind of undercurrent of hate in all the virtue signaling out there? It's like trendy. Don says, there are times when clarity is more important than agreement. If we disagree, I would at least like to be clear as to why or how we disagree. Then move on and be cool. Yeah, Dr. Doolittle has definitely spoken to cats. I haven't. That's part of why psychic kids aren't in tune anymore. It's our imagination, parents and family and teachers say. Speaking of triggers, it's beautiful out there in this living snow globe. Wonderful time here in northern Illinois. 1 to 3 inches of snow today. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. It's wet, heavy, rainy. Yuck. Yeah. Well, let's run back here to Don, where he says, there's times when clarity is more important than agreement. Clarity is always, I believe, more important than agreement. How many times have you agreed with somebody and then later on gone, ooh, wait a minute, I'm going to shift that position? Or, a lot of times you agree with salespeople and then go, oh, it's called buyer's remorse. Oh, man, what was I thinking? I don't agree with that anymore. But clarity is, let's be clear. You can love people where they're at. You don't have to follow them on their journey or their walk, right? You can, however, try to protect them from harm or harming somebody else. It's always important. But let's be very clear. Um, you are who you are. There was probably times in the first grade where I thought I wanted to be the Fonz, or I thought I was the Fonz. Hey, walk around in a white T-shirt, probably drove my mom crazy back in the 70s. Why are you out there in your underwear? Well, I wanted to be the Fonz. That's why. But they still called me Kent. They let me pretend I was the Fonz on the playground. I was still Kent, right? So there's always, and that's why movies, that's why plays, that's why those type of escapes, they're wonderful for us. Reading used to be that to people. When we'd actually read a book, is you would read a fiction book to escape, right? To get that moment of make believe, right? Yeah, free to be you somewhere else. Yeah, but we're afraid to tell people that. Like, hey, I hear I need you not to be an astronaut right now. Okay, I know, but we're not on the moon right now, Kent. So if you could stop being an astronaut right now, that would be kind of cool. And let's talk about this. Okay, not about being in it, but whatever the situation may be, and that's okay. And you can tell people, hey, you know what? We're not on the moon. You don't need to be an astronaut around me. Just so you know, right? Yeah, 3 inches of snow up here. Yeah, it's only 60 degrees down there in the grapevine. Oh yeah, yep. This is the time you enjoy the South, that's for sure. But as I get older too, I kind of like I'm starting to like the snow. I don't know why. Kind of liking it. Of course, I got a big 4-wheel drive truck, so I'm hoping we get more than 3 inches so I can put it in 4-wheel drive and have a little fun. Um, but the idea of I think I think too many relationships. I think um too many uh, too many relationships have failed because of lack of clarity. A lot of marriages have failed because of lack of clarity. It all kind of comes back to that, right? I mean, if we take a look at if we take a look at the Brittany Griner situation, we're excited to have an American who was being detained in a foreign country home. That's freedom. That's wonderful. Whether you agree with her stance in life and things, that's okay. Um, we should be very happy about that. What we should be very concerned about is we traded that prisoner for another prisoner being held by Russia, and take a look into that. A lot of people don't take a look into who we traded for the WNBA star, um, and why. And it's a weird trade to me. And again, um, people say she was unlawfully detained. No, no, no. She broke the law in that country. When you leave America, you are not under America law. You don't have the same freedoms. You have the freedoms that that country gives you or takes from you. And when you break the law, they have the right to do whatever they want. As I said, over there in Russia, there are people who've done far less and have gotten far worse penalties. So, but again, we'll probably talk a lot about that on bridging civil tension this morning, because I said it months ago. Is that it's a political. I said there will be a prisoner swap, and there was. So there you go. But again, I don't have to pretend to to be in that world. But we've made a lot of people here in the United States who push agendas and things very, very happy for that, right? So, yeah. Don says we need to hope and pray we do not pay a huge price for that Brittany Griner trade going forward. I think it's more than okay to be happy she is home and concerned about the swap. Yeah, it was a player. That's why I say we were trading cards. It was a prisoner for prisoner swap. uh, the value of those cards might have been a little different. Somebody probably knew that and said, "No, no, no, we'll give you this one. You give us that one." And that's an even Steven. You'll make a lot of people happy. Yeah, do your research, folks. That's all. In regards to the priorities involved in the trade, we do not know what we don't know or what is going on behind the curtain. No, 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 no. Absolutely. That's why I say we all win. That's why I say dig in a little bit, dig in a little bit deeper. There are a lot of moving parts. If you don't think that the prisoner that we released, if you think that prisoner that we just released was sitting in a hole someplace, you're wrong. I can guarantee you that that person has still been very, very active, and probably through some of um, uh, agencies, maybe used a person like that. That's all. That's all I'll say. That's my opinion. It's just my opinion, but that's why I'm saying, take a deeper look into it. Don't take it at the surface for what it is. And there's a lot more smarter people out there who deal with these type of things on a daily basis than this guy sitting behind a microphone. But again, I don't have to pretend to be in your land of make believe, even though everything you tell me you would like that, right? You know, we now have a new word out in California too, and it's called tridemic. I just love watching things and watching how people jump and flop around like a fish on a boat. Um, Shannon says it's pretending people are exalted and deserving above others is what irritates me. At least you admit she was guilty of the crime. Oh yeah. No doubt about it. I said it when she knew. She'd been playing there for years. She knew. She knew the laws better than anything. And I'll guarantee you, it was probably somebody on, um, you know, probably somebody on her team that turned her in. They're jealous of her, or whatever the case may be, because they got her quick. They they got her quick. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I don't. I, I said it. I don't think it was racially. I thought it was. I said it right away. She's a pawn. She's a political pawn. Trust me. There's going to be some sort of swap of people, and you know, yeah, yeah, I know. The tridemic. So California has now stated that there is a tridemic. It's COVID, it's RSV, and the flu. If you remember before 2020, we used to call this cold and flu season. Now it's a tridemic, which Governor Newsom out there is saying we may have to go back into a mask mandate in California. What? Right? With everything that's coming out, here's the other question that here's just what I think. This is just what I think. Is my question is the science is starting to prove perhaps that we were out over our skis a little bit with all the mandates and jabs and jibby jubers, right? Um, and there was a gentleman, Dr. F, I will call him, that was out in front leading the charge, doing this, that, the third. Where is he now? Just, kind of stepped into the bushes like the Homer Simpson meme. Where is what's happening? So to me, there's another question, and boy, is when more comes out, will anybody? Yeah, that's right. It's just like, and let me just sneak out of the picture. Yep, mission complete. I don't know. It's just one man's opinion. Again, I don't have to play in your land of make believe. That's all. That's it. That's all. I don't have to. I can watch you play. I mean, take a look at if you're a grandparent, take a look at a grandparent watching their grandchild or watching great grandchild just play and grow, and you watch them in their little land of make believe and how they grow and do things, and you marvel at that. And it's okay to do that with other people. It's okay to do that with the world. Just take a watch. It's a great show. As Shayna says, all the world's a stage. I mean, this is the deal. And guess what? You got front row seats, Did you see Kennedy's documentary on Fauci? It was wild. No, what is that on? I would like to. I have not. what streaming platform is that on? It would be interesting. Now again, I'm not the guy who will try to prove any of the conspiracies out there, even the ones that I've created. I don't try to prove that. All I want people to do is kind of ask themselves or say, huh, well, that spotted elephant I've never seen before. There are spotted elephants, right? Um, and that's what I'm saying. Today, I guess everyone wins. The world should be happy. There was a swap of prisoners. They're, everyone wins. Every Now, what is there to fight about here in the United States? Robert and I talked a little bit about it. People are like, oh, well, they left a Marine over there. Do your research on that fella too, right? Probably not the hero you thought or were thinking. Do your research on him. You know, I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. Shana says children's health defense is where I watched it. Censored platforms make it hard to locate. Oh, okay. I'll have to scoop that. I'll see if I can find it and see what's happening. But yeah, there's so there. Here's what I'm saying though, folks. Is I guess is what I want to say is like you don't have to join my land of make believe with me. You can watch it, but you shouldn't dig a hole and go back to the 60s where people were putting bomb shelters 4 feet into their backyard. uh, don't don't let my land of make believe alter the way that you live and perceive the world. Jen says I call it a filter. We all see things through our unique filter that has been generated by our own individual experiences. Compassion filter. What kind of filters do we put on, do you think? Fear filter. Oh, a lot. A lot. um I think a lot of us put on our battle armor filter, and right now we've bought in. We've allowed the water to warm up and boil around us to get mad at to get mad at things that don't belong in our land of make believe. Okay, and here's what I want you to understand. I've got 3 brothers. We've all got kids. We were raised by the same mother and father. Yet each one of our households raised those kids differently. So your neighbor has their own land of make believe. I have my land of make believe. The wonderful thing is I get to spew my land of make believe out to over 30 million people on the air every week. And it's fun, right? Um, there are roles that I play on certain shows. Nobody ever really, and there's people who know me and have gotten to know me, but I get a lot of emails like, how could you? Da, 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 da. Thanks for listening. It's my job as a station owner to get listeners. Duh. You don't like it, turn the channel. Right? So I'm able to capture people into my little land of make believe every week on whatever show it is that I'm producing, sitting in front of a camera, whatever the case may be. And Don says defensiveness filter. You know, yeah, absolutely. Or offensiveness. Oh, I'm offended. Has anybody ever died from being offended? Good. Deke, I like you when you agree with me and love when you disagree with me. So funny to see you be so wrong. hey, hey, I'm never right, because everything I say, I can prove the other side of things. Control filter. Yeah. Um, I think we put on that I like the defensiveness filter because we do. So many people, like I said, we put on that armor. right? If you're a God-fearing Christian, you should put on the armor of Christ every day, and you would probably approach the world much differently, right? You would approach people much differently, you know. Yeah, put on a good face filter, you know. We there If you haven't been in therapy, go and spend a year in therapy with a great therapist to understand why your filters are shaded or tinted or the ones that you have. When you do that, you open up and go, oh, right? Being on this show, being on many of the shows that we have here, people ask, and I have learned. I've had a better education than uh, any institution could give me, with all the wonderful thoughts, ideas, people, weird, right, wrong, that we've had on 21 6 and Ed over the last 4 years. And you know what? It's opened and changed my filters on a lot of things, and that's cool. But when you can sit back and go, huh, I see that now. Oh, that's why I look at it that way. It's eye opening. It's freeing. Kind of takes you out of your own land of make believe at times. Should I be bothered? I can think of so many filters. Yeah, that might be an issue. uh, but again, we put these filters on. Everyone wins, right? I got to put my filter on, Jen, because you think you're a cat today. So I'm going to put my tolerance filter on, my bite your lips, shut the fuck up filter on, because you're not a cat, right? We are all supercomputers, Bob says, and are programmed at different times under different conditions, like your family. Our sons were raised in the same household, but are as different as night and day due to the program. Yeah, and you wonder, you a lot of times people go, huh, how wow, which is it, and you know Don, self-awareness is an aerobic activity for some. It is. The joy of being human, and I'm gonna take it back to Aesop, and say that whoever put "and they lived happily ever after" in a book created a lot of these filters. So I will pretend and bring you into my land of make believe, because I want to live happily ever after. Now, if you go back to when you were a kid and you heard happily ever after, what did you see? Giggling, laughing, sunshine, no clouds, rainbows, unicorns, everybody getting along. Well, that's probably not what happily ever after means. It means maybe that you weren't dead. And for that, you should be happy, right? I mean, how brilliant is it? If you do some digging, one of my favorite radio personalities of all time was Paul Harvey. I'll make no mistake about the guy. Man was a genius. But if you go back into the 60s, when Paul Harvey was first doing his thing, and you listen to some of his pieces, and now the rest of the story, if you took out the date, many of his pieces could fall right on today, right? Right on today. You take a look at George Carlin, a comedian, very, very funny, very, very critical thinker. And you go back to 2009, and he did a bit in 2009 that spells out a lot of what's going on today. Geniuses, some people say. Or are we stuck in a loop, folks? We don't want to say that, but are we stuck in a loop that here we go every 30, 40, 50 years, there's a loop. Now, some things we learn from, some things we don't. Some things tend to repeat themselves. I'm sure you've all heard history tends to repeat itself. If we don't learn from history, that's when we fail. That's when bad things happen. If we learned from history when it comes to repeat itself in this loop on this blue marble, then perhaps are we going, oh, here it comes. It's going to loop back. No need to get excited about this, folks. Right? And maybe it's every 60 years, 50 to 60 years. Because right now, isn't the big rush to get back into space and be on the moon like it was in the 60s when we landed on the moon? Now we've got, I think Steve-O is going to go up with SpaceX or whatever it is. Now we sent William Shatner up into space. So there's a space race again. Does this sound familiar? Have we seen this before? What did we learn from it? Well, we learned if we're going to say that we're on the moon, that perhaps we should put dust on the landing gear and watch the shadows. Anyway, again, mooners, right? Yeah. Oh, hey, here it is. Yeah. How come there's no flat moon era like a flat earth? Think about that too, right? Some people say we're all underwater right now. Never mind. Anyway, there are ideologies. There are things that, trust me when I say, it repeats itself. And yet maybe what we've learned is to say, okay, during this loop, everybody pretend. Ready, go. And we all scatter and pretend we're cats, pretend we're astronauts, pretend we're something we're not. Right? Yeah, we're living in a simulation. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. I mean, if you tell me every day is a simulation that I try to get through, right? And sometimes I'm just happy to be able to get out of bed without anything hurting, especially my feelings, because then life would be bad. And I need to take a personal health day, mental health day, because I'm having a bad day. I need a mental health day, which never existed back when I was a kid. It's like rub a little dirt on it, get in there, buck up, shut up, go to do your job. But now we can escape. We can call a quick timeout in life. Whoop! Without any penalties. Find your safe space. Absolutely. We've become a society in the world of memes and bumper stickers. And somebody saw that on the back of a bumper sticker and said, that sounds great. And they pretended all that way. So yeah, as I said all morning, welcome to my land of make-believe. I believe that I'm very successful and handsome and have a full head of hair. None of it might be true, or all of it might be true. I don't know. But today, that's what I'm going to pretend in my land of make-believe. I pretend that I'm a very good basketball coach. I don't know if I am or not. I just like coaching. I like yelling at kids. Gives me a sense of greatness, perhaps. I don't know. But before we start popping other people's land of make-believe, maybe it's okay for them to live there. Maybe it's okay for them to be there. And we should allow them to be there. But we don't have to step into it because it says no vacancy, Yeah. Oh, some people are on a long-running, ongoing mental break. You said that right, meathead. I take that because, Meathead was on a mental break, on All in the Family. At least Archie thought so. But he let him be, right? Ah, jeez. Terrible. Terrible, right? So I guess, what they say about people who live in glass houses, right? Now, a lot of you are going to say should not throw stones. No, shouldn't walk around naked because it's a glass house. We don't want to see that. You're going to live in your land of make believe. Put some clothes on. That's all I got to say about that. Um, you know, you just triggered someone with All in the Family. I know, it's great. You talk about Anyway, uh, anyway, my fun now is trying to look at other people's land of make believe so that everybody wins. Okay. Um, Listen, if it W. Clement Stone said it best is that do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't hurt you or your fellow man. Right? Be a good person. Do whatever you want to do as long as it doesn't hurt you or your fellow man. Now, again, there's another trigger. Yeah. Amen. Amen on the glass house comment. That's right. Um, there's another trigger that I just said, right? Is listen, I it's okay for me to go, you're batshit crazy. It's okay for you to say that to me. Okay. And if I disagree with you, then fine, so be it. I'm not going to ask you to play in my land of make believe today. But before we go and judge somebody, take a look at your own land of make believe. What is it that day that you're make believing? Maybe you've had a day from hell, you've gotten a flat tire, your electricity was shut off, someone close to you passed away, and you're having a hard time dealing with that, but you put on that good face and you identify as a happy person that day. Everyone wins if they're in their own land of make believe, and yours is no different than someone else's to them as theirs is to you. So as you walk around, especially this holiday season, this weekend I get to go shopping for Christmas, and we'll go to the mall because we like to. And this is where the land of make believe is fun. Just watch the land of make believe. But then I look at my own land of make believe. I'm not going to pass judgment on your land of make believe. Don't pass judgment on mine. But don't ask me to come play and push you on a swing that's not there. Because then I'm just pushing you. And that's assault. I won't do that. Right? So the other thing is stop saying it's their reality. Nope. Reality is reality. It's their land of make believe. Just understand that you're in your own land of make believe and they're in theirs. I love the phrase, what you think about me is none of my business. That's right. It's not. Being positive and compassionate takes less energy than being frustrated, angry, and judgmental. At times it does. Uh, Bob says, back to previous statement by Shana, quoting Shakespeare, all the world is a stage and men and women merely players. In general, since birth, we are trained to imitate what we see and pretend we are happy and we will live happily ever after. It's a facade. Make believe is life. Absolutely. So many people are starving for attention that snacking on a Tide Pod just won't cut it. Well, the good news is I found out recently that Tide Pod is mainly water. So still, listen, these kids, I would fear having to eat soap because I said a bad word. Oh, and trust me, I've had ivory soap scraped across my top teeth several times as a kid. Made you think twice. Didn't do much for my fucking language now, right? Yeah, that's funny. So I don't know why kids would want to put Tide Pods in their mouth. It wasn't good. Give Donna Robert a show. I would absolutely. I would love these guys, and it would be fun. I, I'll produce. I'll turn my mic off and just let you guys go. So listen, guys, we're right on the back end of this. We're out of time. I appreciate you send great energy and good vibes out to Scott as he's a little under the weather. He's part of the tridemic. Maybe I have no idea. He might just have diarrhea. I have no idea. He just said he's not feeling well, and I appreciate him not bringing the germs here into the studio. That is a good friend. I was not going to go into his land of make believe today. So, Scott, buddy, if you're listening out there, I hope you're feeling better, bro. If there's anything that you need, give me a call. I'll run it by the house. Anything at all. Yeah, Bob says our soap bills were high while raising his sons. Right, went through a lot of soap. Listen, come back at the top of the hour for bridging civil tension. If you have any idea of what's going on in the world, and if you just want to listen to some good music, hang in there because 21.6 the net is your daily dose of encouragement. Jump in, jump on, have fun. But most of all, folks, until we meet again, be good. But more importantly, be good to one another and have fun in each other's land of make believe.